Yo, what's poppin', friends? What's going on? Welcome back to the channel, Football Therapy, with me, your host, Jan. And as always, my dear sweet friend, I hope you're doing well, mate. Really do hope that Maresca bit back, didn't he? In his pre-match press conference, Chelsea play Aston Villa tomorrow, I believe, at time of recording. Fridays is time of recording. He spoke about protests, top four targets, here to win titles, make Chelsea great again. Almost sounds like maybe he was prepped by his media team. But yeah, making the right noises, which is always nice to hear. But of course, as always, the proof will be in the pudding. We'll talk about the game. It's going to be friggin' tough, bro. I know Aston Villa had a midweek game against Liverpool, grueling, but also inspiring. A good performance at home, good support at home. We're going to their home. They've got, January reinforcements. It's going to be hella tough. Ooh la la. We're going to get into all of it, so thanks for joining me. As always, you're all welcome here at Football Therapy, the community here. So if you like the content, why not subscribe, hit the bell if you choose to. Drop a like on the video if you want to support that thing, and yeah, let's get into it, man. Alright, mate, so it's a ruddy, miserable day over here in the kingdom, mate. I was looking outside, like, for inspiration, like a gloomy sky. Hopefully it's not an omen for what is to come. I tell you what, though, Maresca looked pretty zen in his Chelsea hoodie with his, like, beads around his wrists, looking all, like, calm. And I reckon bro did some deep breaths before that press conference, because, it's like, of course, the Chelsea fan base are unhappy. There's been Chelsea trying to correct his statements on the targets about him, dominating in the next 5 or 10 years. Actually, he meant dominating for the next 5 or 10 years because of the team. Really like these, and that is his second language, and don't judge on that, yada, yada, yada. But of course, Malo Gusto coming out going, yeah, top four. And Maresca had been echoing what he'd been probably told by the director's early doors, like, yeah, he don't have to get top four this season, but doesn't matter. Like Matt Law on the Londoners Blue podcast rightly said, it doesn't matter what you was told, it's what's happening and where you are. You can't be like, oh, we're doing really well, but bun this because it's not the target. Nah, nonsense, absolute nonsense. And of course, you had the likes of Malo Gusto coming out going, yeah, top four, yeah, target, mate. So finally, someone actually growing a pair of gonads and being like, this is what we're going for here. And yes, of course, it's a world of media briefings. It's a world of media team prepping to players and managers. It has been for many, many years, decades, in fact. And I can imagine this is what's happened again. But Maresca, regardless of the what set him to do it or whatever, it's the right thing. So he said things like this: top four is the target for this season. And said stuff like, we've been in the top four most of the season. It's the target. We're going to do it this season. We're going to go for it. We go for it. He dropped some lines like he said this, quote, I'm not here to survive. I'm here to win games, win titles, and bring this club back to where it needs to be. Yeah. That's good, I guess. A little bit more of the Tuchel, a little less of the Graham Potter, you must say, with that. Yeah, it's kind of what's coming out there. Yeah, he was ready for this one to be like, because he was asked about the protests. I'll get into that in a moment as well. The organised protest for the next home game. He was essentially saying a little bit of, this is Chelsea. I'm not here to make up the numbers. I'm paraphrasing. I'm not here to just survive. I'm here to win. Like, so he's finally coming out of a little bit of that. But, he did it in like a calm and collected and assertive way. Obviously, like I've already said, my cynical side is, well, this is media training. Someone's got in his ear and says, oh, they're a bit upset up there. Can you make some positive noises? And yes, that's probably true. But at the same time, like, to give a little bit of the benefit of the doubt to Maresca, I've always seen him as a pretty consistent character. And I reckon almost certainly someone said to him, look, you got to say something positive here. But I don't think he's done it in a way like through desperation or complete inauthenticity. I do feel like he is like, there to win. Obviously, his experience in English football is being a coach on a treble-winning team. And the standards under Guardiola for a treble-winning team. I know he won a title in his only full season as a manager, championship with Leicester to the Premier League, so that's an experience of winning. But I do think that he's not a Graham Potter. I know Graham Potter won titles in Scandinavia or whatever, but it's different. I do think he knows the drill. And as much as their Chelsea fans are rightly criticising the sporting hierarchy at Chelsea and, you know, elements of the ownership and stuff like that, I do genuinely believe, and people might think I'm dumb for thinking this, but I do still genuinely believe that part of the business plan for Todd Boehly, at least, that's what Todd Boehly was coming out saying, you need to win, like we need to be very good. I know a lot of people don't want to believe that, but they believe what they're doing is the right path to be sustainably good for a long time. Chelsea fans can disagree, and in my opinion, rightly disagree for a lot of stuff. And I don't want to get too politician-y here, but we remember what Boehly came out and said. Boehly has a very successful, dominating sports team in the Dodgers, you know. And he's like, yeah, Chelsea have been winning. We want to make them winning. We believe we can run them in a better way so they're more sustainably winners. That is the plan. They haven't looked at Chelsea and gone, right, asset strip, yada, yada, yada. It's all cynical and dark. I just don't believe that. I believe mistakes were made. I believe we've been really, I mean, you guys, if you watch my content, you know I've been hella upset and miserable of these last two games, you know. But, yeah, he does. There is a certain, like, I believe his conviction. Whether I believe he can execute it is another thing, and we'll see, right? We'll just see. And on's, you know, him being able to do it. We'll talk about the game in a moment. I'm going to preview it and build a lineup or whatever. But he was asked about the protests by Simon Johnson of The Athletic. Of course, one of the organisers went on TalkSport, spoke to Jordan, basically, and he didn't do very well, bless him. Like, he got sort of dismantled by Simon Jordan, and Jim was a bit more of the chatty guy. Look, he didn't do. The people who want to protest the thing is, right, I don't want to start spending a long time about the protest, but I have a great deal of sympathy for Chelsea fans, because no matter what you believe for the protests or not the protests, football fans just suffer basically most of the time for these little moments of glory in between. There's just these big bouts of suffering. No matter what team you are, look at Man City. They've had it all their own way, insane success, and their fans are miserable at the moment, all complaining on social media. I see even Liverpool fans of, like, you know, for not winning every game. There's just certain fans want to be negative and miserable. And obviously Liverpool win the league, the fans will be happy, and then Arne Slot might drop off next season. So I get it. This is our natural disposition for football fans to moan. It's been since the dawn of time down the pub. Like, I'm old enough to remember just talking about football in pubs before social media. Do you know what I mean? It was the same then, it's the same now, except there's a big echo chamber. I have a great deal of sympathy because watch me here on my YouTube channel. I felt like absolute garbage and miserable, and, you know, people want to channel that in ways they think they can help them and help the club. So I don't think it's fair to, like, laugh at this guy who had a bit of a mare on TalkSport or whatever, because he could have said other things that would have been right. That, you know, he basically took inaccurate business numbers to Simon Jordan, which is not what you do as a Premier League football club previous owner. Jesus, easy for me to say. So he didn't do the right thing there. So, but, like, there are genuine critiques that he could have said about why fans are unhappy. He sort of didn't do much of a service there. And so Simon Johnson of The Athletic said to Maresca, the Chelsea manager, look, what do you think about this? And he says, look, the only thing I can say is about the protest, he answered the question with just a completely almost irrelevant statement saying, look, we just want the support from the fans for the game. You know, like I say, that when we've got a lot of games at home, we can get Champions League qualification with the backing and support of the fans and the good feeling sort of thing. He kind of aligned himself with what John Obi Mikel said, and John Obi Mikel, who criticised the Chelsea owners, said don't protest, essentially. This is not the time. It's support the fans. Let's get over the line. I'm kind of inclined to agree. I would have been more for I suppose, a protest before the transfer window. But I feel like it just doesn't achieve anything right now other than potentially make the team worse in the run-in. But before the transfer window, you could be like, oh, God, they're unhappy. Look at them. Let's just go and pay a few extra. Even just get a loanee striker to help us go over the line, which would kind of temporarily remedy their poor squad planning, which is one of the things I think Chelsea fans are protesting against. Anyway, very, very interesting stuff from the Chelsea manager. Huge words, really, but it could just be empty words if we don't win a game of football. So Aston Villa have been very, very good under manager Unai Emery, even though they're kind of like nearer mid-table in the Premier League at the moment. He picked them up when they were in a relegation scrap under Gerrard, and, he's taken them into the Champions League, and they're in the top 8 automatic qualification for the Champions League. And they got a very creditable draw at home, against Liverpool, league leaders Liverpool. Tielemans and Watkins scoring. At home, let's just look at some of the stats quickly. So Liverpool did pepper them with 17 shots, but they had less shots on target. And rather interestingly, Liverpool had less possession there. So lineups, what are we going to expect out of Villa? Well, Disassi can't play against us. Tyrone Mings has only just come back from injury, I believe. Garcia, Lucadinho, I guess they might need to make a bit more of a makeshift defence. McGinn's a good player. Tielemans a good player. Amadou Onana's unavailable, who's a great player. Of course, they've got lots of attacking options, like Rodgers, who's been in scintillating form. What's his face? The young lad who was the Rodgers of yesterday. Jacob Ramsey. He's very, very good again as well. Tielemans, obviously. They'll have players like Watkins is always a threat. Now, the new boys who are on loan, Asensio and Rashford, they'll be looking to announce themselves. They both kind of looked good in flashes, but they'll be looking to announce themselves by essentially slapping up Chelsea, which would be a high-profile moment. I remember watching Marcus. I was at the Stamford Bridge game, when Marcus Rashford scored that free kick in the cup, I believe it was, because I took my friend who's not a Chelsea football fan, let alone a Chelsea fan, and then they got a free kick, and it was literally, I think we were on the East Stand or something, and the ball was in front of us, and I was like, yeah, he's got a free kick. So what happens now? I was just explaining what a free kick is, and I was like, he'll just kick it into the area because he's too far away to shoot. Obviously, he scores an absolute worldie right in front of us, and I was like, And, to this day, that's one of Marcus Rashford's career highlights. So, yes, Marcus Rashford will not be scared of scoring against Chelsea. Very good team. Weaknesses, though, there's the side down Lucadinho, and I'm listening to Sam, CFC Central, on the aforementioned London is Blue, talking about that left-hand side being a weakness, Rashford not tracking back, Lucadinho wanting to fly forwards, so our left-hand side could be quite important, but do we have any juice on the left-hand side? I mean, we thought Sancho was going to be at early doors. Historically, our right-hand side in the last couple of seasons has been better with Noni and Palmer. But let's build a lineup together, shall we? I do fit, as much as I think personally, the solution to our problems would be a formation change because of our personnel problems of injuries. I just don't think that's going to happen. So it's going to be broadly the same. Philip Jorgensen will keep his place as Chelsea's underwhelming first choice goalkeeper. No disrespect to him. I just think meh to the highest degree. Cuckoo Urea will play as the left back because heck, we don't have any other left backs, ladies and gentlemen. Now, it is absolutely imperative this time we finally see a start from Reece James at right back. We need some leadership on the pitch. We haven't been seeing it. Reece James offers that opportunity. Now, again, shout out CFC Central who referenced this. Levi Colwill, was he rested for the last game? He did do a great job on Rodgers in the reverse fixture. So I'm going to give him another chance, even though he'd been performing really, really poorly in terms of his behaviour, doing a mistake and being a petulant rather than just getting up and dealing with it. I see Colwill, and I guess Chalobah. I mean, you could say Tosin. I just have a feeling Tosin might be utilised here. Tosin also is a goal threat on set pieces. I think he's got the same amount of goals in all comps as Neto. But, I mean, it could be Chalobah and then maybe Tosin on the left. I mean, are we ready? It is away from home, actually. But he did do a good job on Rodgers, though. just about Colwell sneaking. I'm not saying it's his last chance. I think his career is safe long term at Chelsea, Colwell. But he has been poor, and this is an opportunity to sort it out, basically. Yes, you got to utilise your superstar players. Caicedo, who's been generally very consistent, even if he dropped off in the games against Brighton. This isn't his former club, Brighton. He's not going to get booed on the ball. Sort yourself out. Play like the superstar you are. Similarly, Enzo Fernandez, looking like another leader we need on the pitch. Now, lots of people have been trying to ask for Cole Palmer to play at right wing. If you look at some of his best performances, he had some good performances on the right wing under Pochettino, but he moved inside. And towards the end of the season, and remember this like Pochettino revisionism, we were like amazing all the second half of the season. I don't agree, but what he did do is he moved Palmer to the middle because he wanted to bring Noni Madueke in and play them together. So that winning run was actually Palmer in the middle and Noni on the right. And I've seen Palmer play for England absolutely awful. I've seen him play for Chelsea at the beginning of this season on the wing, and he was awful. So Palmer absolutely has to be in his preferred position, running the game, seeing a lot of the ball. Now, it gets tough here. I'm going to be real. It gets really, really tough here. Because the truth is, we did see in the last game Palmer and Nkunku play as like these dual sort of false nines. If you change the role and say, Nkunku, you have to play as a true nine, we're not gonna get you in the areas you like. We're gonna play you in a way that definitely blunts how, your good assets. But it's just there's no other way, because we need to get Palmer doing what he wants in a free role. And even if you're just like a head on a stick sometimes, which is not good, it'd be probably better to play Toasting up there. But like, just play him as, again, Liam, this is to quote another podcast, the Straight Out of Cobham podcast, Liam Twomey of The Athletic said, just play him as an active striker, a true nine, play him up there by himself, even if he can't hold the ball up or whatever. You don't have Gue, you don't have Jackson, it's going to be Nkunku, but I feel like you just instructions, you have to look at those two Brighton games and go, right, he's just absolutely anonymous. So be nearly anonymous, but at least be a dedicated role in a nine and do these certain basic functions. And the ball, if it comes to you in the box, we know you're an amazing finisher. Score, ready, go. Now, the wingers is tough. Lots of talk about Pedro Neto not living up to his potential. Sancho has been sort of poor. He's obviously not got the speed as well. I'm going to go... I think it's highly unlikely, especially from what Maresca said, but I'm just going to say Tyreek George to play on the left wing, given a chance, even if it's like 60 minutes or whatever. Although the reality is, it's probably going to be Sancho, and Tyreek will probably get a good amount off the bench, like half an hour or something. But I'm going to say that, and I'm obviously, in the absence of Noni, it's going to be Neto on the right wing, his preferred flank. And that, for me, is a team of very, very, very talented footballers in isolation, yeah? That's a team of talented, high-profile footballers that can get a result against Aston Villa. Now, what is a good result against Aston Villa? Well, obviously a win, any type of win, and in any way at all, any type of win, you'd have to say, right? I mean, I'd kind of like, because we were so bad against Brighton, and I think Brighton are a worse team than Aston Villa, yeah. Away in those two games. If we get a draw against Aston Villa, I'd have to look at it maybe. And I think only like one or two teams have been. I think Aston Villa's home form is excellent. I mean, they've just drawn to Liverpool, top of the league. But I think like maybe only Arsenal have won there. I have a feeling. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. I may well be wrong, but I have a feeling that their home form is like insane. So like there'll be like a world where if we get a draw there, I'd sort of be like, all right, see you later. A loss will just compound the misery. And a win would be ruddy excellent. I've got no reason in my brain to believe we'll suddenly switch up and win. But I'm going to roll the dice with my heart. Because why not? Football's, going to be fun. 2-1 Chelsea win. A goal for Nkunku. Would you Adam and Eve it? Yeah? And while we're in dreamland here... Come join me. A debut first Chelsea goal for Tyreek George. That would be lovely. Both assists from Cole Palmer. Let me know what you think, though. Leave your comments down below. Thank you, as always, for joining me. I do hope to see you back here soon on the channel. And take care of yourselves. Enjoy the football if you can. Peace.